Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Today here is our second meeting for our subject here, language testing. And then for this video, I'm recording this video for all class of 2018 English Department, Faculty of Education, Muhammadiyah University of Jakarta. Yeah. Last week, our topic is about the overview of this subject, about language testing subject, and then I guess majority of you already aware enough of what kind of subject this language testing, yeah, what kind of something that you are going to learn for this subject. And our last week meeting, from the first meeting we have the introduction and then also the overview of the subject. Today here will be our second meeting, and then for our second meeting our topic here will be about an introduction to validity. Yeah. So what does it mean by validity, and then types of validity, and why did we have to concern about validity while talking about language testing? Yeah. And then for the other information also, language testing, as we discussed it last week when we had our first meeting, language testing deals with the test, yeah, the instrument test that you are going to use when you try to measure your student comprehension about a certain subject that you teach them. Yeah. And because it is a test in language, so you're going to deal with all four skills that we learn in language. Yeah, first it is speaking, second one listening, third one it is reading, and then last one writing. So it is not a random test for every kind of subject, but this language testing here focus one more time here in the domain of language, yeah, learning language. Okay, without wasting the time, before we are going to learn new topic for this language testing, I would like to give you guys a gentle reminder. From the previous week, I already told you guys to fill your comment, to fill your question, to fill any of your guys' suggestion to the first meeting video, so I can put your name, guys, as the participant of the first meeting attended. Yeah, so your comment and then also your suggestion, your question from the first video, that will be the evidence, that will be the proof that you guys attending our first meeting. And I'm not gonna repeat it many times for you guys. Yeah, you got only 3 times for each of the subject. I'm teaching you guys 2 subjects for this semester. First it is language testing, and then second one, classroom action research. If you guys already missed 3 times, yeah, 3 times not joining the meeting, joining our learning process, so it's mean you guys will fail. Yeah, you guys already failed to join this subject. Yeah, but it will be different with some of the students that only take one subject. Yeah, for example, here we have Molly Dia El Sandi, and then also Ricky Pratama, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2 of the students that take only one of the subjects. So they have also the same 3 times missed the learning or teaching process. So there will be no more excuse from me. Yeah. Okay, and then now I'm going to start share screen here to discuss about our new topic for the second meeting of language testing. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Okay, this one, language testing. Yeah, and my name is Muhammad Sofian Hadi. I'm your lecturer for this subject, language testing, the first subject that we have today. And then second subject, we'll have it classroom action research tomorrow. Yeah. And our topic for today here, it will be about introducing validity. Yeah. And then I already mentioned it before to all of you guys. Why our second meeting here, it is about validity. Yeah, one more time, because our subject here called language testing. So our main focus located in testing itself and then also in language. Talking about testing, we need to make sure that we have a valid kind of test. We have a valid kind of instrument that we use while giving a test to our students. And then, why it is so important to discuss about validity first before we are going to discuss about classroom assessment, and then before we are going to discuss about test types. Yeah, because validity is the most important aspect, yeah, while you guys delivering the test for your student. Without a valid kind of instrument, without a valid kind of test, so your test will be non-standardized kind of test, or your test here, it's simply a test that measuring something that not worth it to measure. Yeah, so that's why while making the instrument or while conducting the test, you need to know first what does it mean by validity. Yeah, because when we talk about something valid, so it is something that we can accept, something that we can believe on the result, and based on the test, based on the instrument that we use in our test. That's why our second meeting for subject here language testing, our focus on introducing validity first. Yeah. Okay, so now let's have a look here from some expert that mentioning. Okay, the first expert here from who goes? Yeah, 1989-22, that mentioning validity in testing and assessment has traditionally been understood to mean discovering whether a test measures accurately what it is intended to measure. Yeah? From this opinion, we can see how important the meaning of valid, the name of validity of a test. Yeah, and from this definition we can also see here, yeah, when you try to make a valid test, yeah, when you try to make something that worth it for the student here, you have to make sure the test that you created, the test that you wrote, the test that you deliver to the student measure accurately what it is intended to measure. So based on each of you guys' intention to measure, yeah. One more time, validity in testing and assessment has traditionally been understood to mean discovering whether a test measures accurately what it is intended to measure. Yeah? So it is not a random test that you give to the student, but it is a valid kind of test. Yeah? That test something that you need to understand, you need to know from your student after conveying, after delivering the lesson. Yeah. So a valid test in assessment or in testing here, you have to consider what is it that you are going to measure from your student. For example, here you're going to measure their lack, their understanding about vocabulary. So while making the test, all the tests here consists of question, consists of easy tasks or any kind of assignment. Then you have to make sure based on what you guys deliver to your student, based on the aim of the teaching and learning process. And then that's why, so we can call a test here is a valid test. Yeah, the instrument that we use to measure the student based on what we need to measure after completing a lesson. Yeah. Okay, next one, in validity here, it can also meaning the meaning of validity or uncovering the appropriateness of a given task or any of its component parts as a measure of what it is proposed to measure. Yeah, it is from Henning, 1987, 170. The first definition and then the second definition, the first from Hughes and the second one from Henning here, I guess it's a little bit similar, yeah. If the previous one using measuring what it is something that we need to measure, and then for this one, the appropriateness of a given task or any of its component parts as a measure of what it is proposed to measure, yeah. So here located on appropriateness. So a proper task that given to the student, and then appropriateness here refer to a proper kind of task, a task that really measure what is it that you guys need to measure. Student speaking skill, their problem while joining online learning, yeah, their problem while learning, listening, reading, and writing, any kind, yeah. So what it is proposed to measure. If we have a look from the first definition and then second definition here, the first it is measuring what is purpose to measure, yeah, and then the second one also the same, it is what it is proposed to measure. So each of the definition from Hughes and then second one here, it is similar. Okay, what you're going to test, yeah, and then what kind of the comprehension that you are going to measure, yeah. So validity here take an important part in making sure all the aspect in delivering and giving the instrument as a task here to the student. So the teacher or you as a teacher here can measure what you need to find out, what you need to understand from the students. Yeah. Okay, and then the third one, when we write a test, we have an intention to measure something. Yeah, that the something is real, and that validity inquiry concern finding out whether a test actually does measure what is intended. Yeah. So from this sentence here, when you're going to be a professional English teacher, inshallah, in the near future, after graduating from English Department, Faculty of Education, Muhammadiyah University of Jakarta, you are going to make a task. Yeah, making a task after delivering a teaching and learning process to the student. And when you guys try to make a test here, you have your own intention. What is it that you are going to measure from your student after you guys teach them? Yeah, and then something that you guys have to measure here is something is real. Yeah, something is real. Is that validity includes concern finding out whether a test actually does measure what is intended. So the simple kind of comprehension, the simple kind of definition here, a valid kind of test. The validity here means a task that we created as a teacher, yeah, and delivered to the student here is exactly match with something that we want to measure. That's what validity is. Yeah. Okay, I hope from the first slide, second slide, and then third slide here, you guys now already understand what does it mean by validity. Yeah, why we need a valid kind of test, why we need a valid kind of instrument when we try to measure our students. Yeah, because there are several reasons. First, a valid test, a valid kind of instrument will help you guys find out your weakness, your strength while delivering the lesson to the students. Second one, based on a valid kind of test here, so that will indicating your teaching process is successful or no. Yeah, and then next one, a valid kind of test, a valid kind of instrument here will lead you to do an improvement for your next kind of teaching and learning process. Yeah. So based on the finding, based on the result of the test, after you do the process of assessment, and then you find out, for example, here only half of your student that can understand about the topic that you explain to your students. So you need an improvement. You need to modify your strategy, your approach, your method, so you can improve. Yeah, before that we have 50% of the student can understand about the learning material, and then because of the modify, because of using new strategy, new method, or new media, so you can improve the 50% of the student become at least maybe 80 or 90% of the student can understand full enough, yeah, about your learning material. Okay, and then next one, there were assumptions that were built into language of validity studies from the early days. Yeah, but ones that we are going to question here about the three kind of validity starting from the early days. Early days, it means from 90s, yeah, from the early validity theories, early validity expert while discussing about validity, yeah, and then the assumption that were built into the language of validity studies from the early days, the one that we are going to question here. So we are going to discuss more about several types of validity starting from the early days. Yeah, why did we go back? Why did we call this one from the early days? Because we start from the beginning. We start from the first time. We start from the most common, yeah, the most common types of validity here. Okay, and then we're going to give a question on it. Yeah, that's the aim. But once that we are going to question. Now let's go to the next slide. Okay, next one here, three types of validity in early theory. Yes, I discussed it earlier. We discussed about three types of validity in early theory. Early theory means the first time that validity here is concerned by scientists, by the expertise, and then one more time, our focus here, validity, it's still related to our subject, language testing. So you better keep that in your mind, guys. Talking about this validity, talking about the definition of validity, it is still relevant with our topic, language testing. Yeah, when for example here, when I talk about a proper kind of test that you are going to use while measuring the student, here measuring the student means measuring the student language comprehension, their language fluency, their language weaknesses. But one more time, it is about language testing. Okay, now let's continue to this one. 3 types of validity in early theory. The first, okay, we can see here from this slide, there are 3 common, or there are 3 main types of validity in early theory. The first here is criterion-oriented validity, and then second one, it is content validity, and then last one here, it is construct validity. Yeah, and then for the first, we got criterion and then oriented validity. It consists of 2 types. The first, it is predictive, and then second one, concurrent kind of validity. And then now I'll try to discuss it one by one. Now let's start with the first here. We'll start with the first. Okay, this criterion-oriented validity. Yeah, when we talk about criterion-oriented validity here, we talk about the criteria that we are going to use while making the test. Yeah, and then here we can see the tester in criterion-oriented validity here. The tester is interested in the relationship between a particular task and a criterion to which we wish to make a prediction. Yeah, one more time. The tester is interested in the relationships between a particular task and a criterion to which we wish to make prediction. So this one here, it is a relationship between particular task and a criterion. Particular task and then criterion to make a prediction. So for this one, revert to the predictive or prediction kind of validity. Yeah, the criterion here, it is a prediction. Okay, next one. In this case, the validity evidence is the strength of the predictive relationships between the task score and the performance under criterion. Okay, one more time, 2 things. First, it is the task score itself, and then second one, performance under criterions. Yeah, of course, it is necessary to decide what would count as ability to cope with. Yeah, as it is something that must be measurable. Defining precisely what we mean by such words and then process in a central part of investigating validity. And then here we have ability to cope with. Yeah, so now what does it mean by ability to cope with here? The ability to cope with here refer to something that we measure as a teacher, something that we measure, well, making this kind of validity here based on what we are going to get, what we are going to understand, what we are going to comprehend from our student after give them the test. Yeah, and then the validity evidence is the strength of the predictive relationship between the test score and then performance under criterion, as I explain it here, based on the test score and then also performance under criterion. That's why this one called criterion-oriented validity, based on criteria. What is it that we are going to test from our student? We're going to make some kind of criteria on it, some kind of requirement. Yeah, what are those that we are going to measure from our students? Okay, and then next one, predictive validity is the term used when the test score are used to predict some future criterion. Yeah, so this one here, predictive validity, refer to a prediction. Yeah, when the test score are used to predict some future criterion. So it is of the future one. For example, here before joining in this department, the ability of the score is maybe it is 70, and then after joining the score of the graduate from this department, Faculty of Education, Muhammadiyah University of Jakarta, the student here reach 80 or 90% of their score. Yeah? And then some future criterion such as academic success. If the score are used to predict a criterion at the same time the test is given, we are studying concurrent kind of validity. So that's the difference. If predictive validity here, something that happened, we'll find out the test score to predict in a future, not in real time, not while studying, but after the process of studying. And then after that one, the second type of this criterion-oriented validity, we call it concurrent validity. Here it is about the same time the test is given. So in real time, we're delivering the task to the student, and then we got an immediate score after the student completed the task, after the student completed in answering the question or completed their assignment. That's the difference between predictive validity and then the second one, concurrent kind of validity. And talking about this one, maybe we can make an analogy while learning about grammar, while learning about structure. Predictive validity here is it is a future tense, and then concurrent validity it is a present tense. Yeah, that's an analogy of predictive validity, and then second one, concurrent validity. Okay, next one, next type of validity in early theory, in early days here, we call by content validity. Yeah, content validity is defined as any attempt to show that the content of the test is a representative sample from the domain that is to be tested. Yeah. So content validity itself here, it is based on the sample of the population. Yeah, from the domain here referred to the population in a classroom or in a school. Yeah, so when we try to write down a test, and then the test here, we are going to make a sample. We are going to get a sample from a certain kind of population to give them a test. So that's based on this definition here. We call it a content validity. So the sample here can become the representative of the domain or the population in a classroom. Content validity also here refers to what is it, the learning material from your teaching and learning process that you try to measure to your student. And then while making the test, only several kind of aspect that you try to put on your test, and then that will be the representative of the population understanding. What is it called by the content validity? Yeah. And then Carroll, 1980, page 67, argued that achieving content validity in testing English for academic purposes, or EAP, consisted of describing the test takers, analyzing their communicative needs, and then specifying test content on the basis of their needs. Yeah, so based on Carroll opinion here, validity, content validity in testing English for academic purpose consists of the first, we have to describe who's the one going to complete the test, who's the one going to be the test taker, who's the student going to take the test, and then analyzing their communicative needs. What kind of communicative needs that the student have to get, and then last one, specifying test content on the basis of their needs. So the task that we created as a teacher here should match with their communicative needs. So this kind of validity here called a content validity. And then last types of construct validity. Last type of validity we call here a construct validity. And then talking about construct validity, we have to understand about what we call by a general terms. Yeah. Firstly here, it must be defined in such a way that it become measurable. Yeah. Contract validity refer to a term that can be measured, or we have to combine several terms, so these new terms we can measure it. And then secondly, any construct should be defined in such a way that it can have relationships with other constructs that are different. So we have 2 or 3 kind of different construct, and then we have the relationship of each term in the construct itself. Yeah. And then since I talk about term and then after that one concept, here concept become construct when they are so defined that they can become operational. Yeah, we can measure them in a test of some kind by linking the term to something observable. Yeah, and then with this construct validity here, we have to make the concept become a operational first, and then after making the concept become operational, yeah, and then after that one we have to linking each term that make the concept, so it will become something that we can observe. Yeah, that's what we call by construct validity. Yeah. And before we are going to go to the conclusion, let me repeat it one more time here. Our today's topic for the second meeting of language testing here, it is about an introduction about validity or introducing validity. Here is the title. And then one more time, validity in testing and assessment. Validity refer to the truthness, refer to something that we can believe on. We can say the truth about our tests, yeah. And then starting from the first slide I already mentioned, yeah. Validity here, assessment has traditionally been understood to mean discovery whether a task measure accurately what is intended to be measured. One more time, measure what it is intended to be measured. So if you already give your student, for example here, about understanding future tense. So the task that you're going to give to your student, it should be about future tense. Yeah, future tense, because it is matched, linking with the process of teaching and learning that you give them about future tense. And then the test that you're going to use is also about future tense. And then for validity here, we have to make sure our test here, our test accurately measuring what is it that we want, that what the meaning of intended, what is it that we want to measure from our students. And then the first, it is intended to measure, measuring what is intended to measure from Hughes. And second one here, measuring of what it is proposed to measure. Yeah, in the first one it is our intention, yeah, and then second one here it is the purpose to measure, the purpose of our measurement. And then here the test, one more time, when we make the test, when we write down the test for the student, we have to make sure here our task, it is real, something that real. What does it mean by something is real here? Something that we can measure based on the learning outcomes, based on the learning achievement that we are going to get after conducting teaching and learning process. And then there are 3 types of validity in early theory. One more time, early theory refer to, early theory here refer to the theory that the first common use in discussing about validity. And then for the three types here, we're starting with criterion-oriented validity, second one with the content validity, and then last one, it is a construct validity. Yeah. For the criterion-oriented validity, here divided into types. The first, it is predictive, and then the second one, it is concurrent kind of validity. Talking about criterion-oriented validity here, there's several things that we have to consider. The first, the tester is interested in the relationships between particular task and a criterion to which we wish to make prediction. Yeah? And then, predictive validity is the term used when the test score is used to predict some future criterion. And then the example that I gave to you guys, it is something that will happen in the future because we talk about the prediction. And then it is different when we talk about concurrent kind of validity. Concurrent kind of validity refers to giving the test in some time and then also get the result at the same time. That's the difference between predictive and then concurrent kind of validity. Predictive refers to the future one, and then concurrent validity here it is a present one. Okay, next to the content validity. Content validity here as any attempt to show that the content of the test is a representative sample from the domain that is to be tested. Yeah, so representative sample here, it means we are not going to give the test with full learning material or with all the population that we have in a classroom, but we try to put a test, we try to make a test based on the topic that can measure their comprehensive understanding about the whole learning material. If it is a student, maybe 3 or 4 of the student, and then after that one, that will become the representative of the whole population in the school or in a certain kind of place. Yeah, and then while doing the content validity, or while we see the content validity here, are good that achieving content validity in testing English for academic purposes consists of describing the test taker, analyzing their communicative needs, and then also specifying test content on the basis of their needs. So the first, when we try to achieving content validity, we have to describe the test taker. Who's the one that will complete the task? Who's the one that will answering the question? Who's the one that is going to finish their assignment? And then after that one, analyzing their communicative needs. After the process of describing the test taker, and then we come to diagnosing communicative needs, and then after we already found out what is it their communicative needs, and then specifying the test content on the basis of their needs, match or linking with their communicative needs. Yeah. And then for last one, the construct validity here, we have to consider several things. First, it is must be defined in such a way that it becomes measurable. And then second one, any construct should be defined in such a way that it can have relationship with other constructs that are different. Yeah? And then concepts become construct when they are so defined that they can become operational. We can measure them in a test or some kind of linking the term to something observable. Yeah? And then for the last slide, here we have the conclusion. Yeah? I'll try to read to you guys the conclusion. The first conclusion here, one more time, validity means how accurate a test as an instrument in measuring what it is intended to be measured. Yeah, this one refers to Hugo's kind of definition. What is it intended to be measured? And then for the second one, what is it proposed to measure? That was from Henning. Yeah. And then there are 3 common types of validity. For this one, common type of validity here for the early theory, Yeah, the first it is the criterion. Yeah, it is criterion consists of two types. The first here is predictive validity, and then second one it is concurrent validity. If it is predictive validity, deals with the future score of a test taker, yeah, or something that talk about the future, giving a test now, and then it is become the prediction. And then second one, concurrent kind of validity based on the relationships between score and the performance. And then second types of validity here, content validity. Content validity based on the quality of sampling from a population. Yeah, so based on the content of the quality of sampling from a population. And then plus one, construct validity based on psychological aspect, and then it can be measured. Yeah, and then the reference here, you guys can read all the topic that I've already explained from the book, from the textbook here, Language Testing and Assessment by Glenn Colher and David Chen. Yeah, and I guess that's all, guys, that I can explain to you today for our second meeting for this language testing subject. I hope you guys will have your comprehension about what does it mean by validity, and then also why we need to consider about validity, and what is it, a validity in a test, yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, guys, concept of validity, concept of reliability, you guys already learned about this one when you guys learn about statistics, because you guys learn about validity, reliability, and then any kind of statistical analysis. Yeah, hopefully this will be your guys new strengthen your understanding about validity. Yeah, and before we are going to end this second meeting of language testing, I do hope you guys will watch this video, full video. I mean, starting from the first second till the last second of this video, because all of the topic that you guys need to understand, that you guys need to comprehend from our second meeting here consists in this video. Because if you guys just skip on it and then just try to fast forward for this video, so you're not going to get a fully comprehensive kind of understanding. Hopefully after watching this one, you guys will have your own kind of interpretation, your own kind of definition about validity, and then about types of validity, and then maybe you guys can also try to elaborate this explanation using your own kind of language. So that will be easy for you guys to remember about the concept of validity, and then about the three types of validity. And then after that one, since this is our second meeting, I'm not gonna forget to ask you guys to fill your attendance list using comment, and then using a question, using suggestion, or using any kind of things that you need to convey, that you need to talk. You can put it on this video, on this comment section of this video, so I can see all my students from class of 2018 already watch full this video, and then already get new kind of knowledge from our second meeting. Don't forget one more time to fill your comment, fill your question or suggestion or anything for this video or our second meeting of language testing, because your comment, your question, your suggestion will be the evidence, will be the proof that you guys are already attending our second meeting for language testing. Yeah, And I guess that's all that I can deliver for today here for our second meeting here. I hope you guys can understand every single thing that I already explained to all of you guys. And then if you still have anything that still a question for you, you can put your question down below. And thanks for watching this video. Thanks for attending this class, our second meeting for language testing subject. Stay safe, stay healthy, and then let's hope that we'll have pandemic here will over soon. So we'll have a proper kind of face-to-face learning and teaching process. That's all from me. And then the last I say, Wallahul muwaffiq wal hadi ila sabilur rasyad. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace out.